Let's rock and roll with a topic that's very interesting, and it talks about veteran homelessness. I think this is the one reasons why you are starting the foundation and the transition, because that transition process as a veteran is the key component if you're going to go on the right track or wrong track.
Hey, thanks for having me on again, Neil. And yeah, veteran homelessness is a huge problem, which is why we have organizations like Tunnels to Towers that are building these um, essentially apartments, veteran apartments all over the place, to help, solve some of these issues. And it's there's so many factors to me that go into being homeless, and I don't think there is a end all be all one fix for this. It's something that each individual person probably has to be addressed and helped in certain ways. But that's absolutely one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing at Vet SOS is to help these transitioning service members understand what resources are available to them so that they can take the right steps coming out of the military in order to set themselves up for success.
Yeah, and setting yourself up for success is key. And homelessness problem is just rampant. And what are you been hearing from the grapevine of why? What is the process that's led so many to this real problem of veteran homelessness?
So I think it could be mental issues, it could be PTSD, it could be substance abuse, it could just be bad financial. I'm not going to say choices, but investments or whatever that just went bad. I mean, it could be all kinds of things that play into why people are homeless. And there are tons of organizations that are really trying to help with this issue, whether it be providing services to help with addiction and help people get back on their feet, getting them into, like one of these veteran villages from Tunnels to Towers, where they're going to have all these different types of services, VA services and things like that, so they can, get some of the benefits that they've earned and hopefully help them, take those next steps to get off the streets. Once again, I think that there are so many different factors that play into it, and every single case, I think, is an individual basis that you have to figure out how to solve that. I just don't believe that there's a cookie cutter one size fits all fix for this.
There is not. And that's so you have to constantly look at the situation and why. And it has to do with certain things that have happened through the PTSD, through mental health issues that has led them to the last resort, which is homelessness.
It very well could be the case. It could be some sort of PTSD struggle. It could be some other mental issue that causes this. And we were just reading something here recently that some of the state benefits are being cut, which are going to impact some of these homeless shelters too. So there's the potential right now coming out that this is going to become even a bigger issue, not just for the veteran population, but the population as a whole. And we've already seen it throughout the country. And in certain areas, the homeless problem is really, really bad. But for me, that veteran homeless problem is just one that I hope we find a way to solve at least that small piece of the homeless problem in general.
And solving that piece is key. If we don't solve that piece, we're going to have an issue, and that starts with the transition. And I think from when we talk about on this podcast, and we constantly, and especially with Vet SOS, is having the right resources available from day one. And it's not just one area. It's multiple areas that through these transition stories you're going to highlight of so many military.
Oh, absolutely. You have your physical well-being, your mental well-being, your financial well-being, all these factors that come into the transition. You have to take a look at all of these. And of course, if you have a family, you're taking that into account as well. So you have to balance all of these things and figure it out. And especially for the younger service members, the ones who only do one hitch or what have you, those they need to really balance everything, and take a look and weigh, should I stay in? Should I get out? Can I afford to get out? Maybe they haven't set themselves up financially to be ready to get out yet. So balancing all of those and trying to figure out when the best time to exit the military is one of those really important decisions that's going to, be impacted by all those different factors.
And all those different factors are what leads to success or not success.
I
And
believe, yeah.
and looking at and identifying that. What can the military, this is good, this is, I'm trying to get a hot button talk. Stop. What can the military do before they transition that will to decrease the homelessness in this country?
That is a question. So I think there's a lot of things we can still improve in the transition process. That there's a lot of things that I believe we could still improve in the healthcare system within the military, because I have no doubt that service members are not 100% honest when they go into medical appointments. Whatever the case may be, it's just one of those things where there's so many stigmas, so many fears that there's going to be repercussions, that I don't know that service members are getting the help that they need, but not because it's not there. It's because they're not really addressing the issues and bringing it all out. So trying to figure out how we balance that and how we counteract stigmas and all the adverse action type things that people believe are going to happen, or potentially could happen, based on what it is. Trying to balance all that out and truly get to the point where we're taking care of the service members, and we're making sure that when they leave, we everything's been addressed. And
Right.
I don't know how we bridge that gap, because there's just so many fears out there, I think. But I think, to me, that's one of the biggest things. If we can get to having real conversations, and being honest about things, then I think we'll see a lot of things change down the road for service members as they transition out.
I agree. I think that that's it. If we don't do that, forget about it. And so forget about it, as we'll use the word forget about. We'll use the forget about it thing. But if we don't do that, no, we're not going to be able to provide the right resources and everything that we need to do to help them move through the process. I think it's the job of what you're doing, Sean. And you always ask this question at the end or at the beginning of each podcast, their transition story. And what are you seeing? A lot of them have had good transition stories. What do you see that has made them that one key component of every one of them that you've so far interviewed about transition stories for success? What do you think it is?
I think starting early makes a huge impact, because the earlier you start, the more you're going to learn. Because the whole reason we started the podcast originally was we're not told about all these organizations, and we wanted to help get the information out there. So as you learn about one thing, you're going to learn about 10 other things. And it's just going to be a spiral effect or a compounding effect where you just keep learning about all these different options that are out there for you. So the earlier you start, the more you're going to be able to learn and find things that are going to benefit you. So I think it's important to start early. And I would encourage people to keep their options open and be willing to get out of their comfort zone. We hear it a lot, and even one of my co-hosts says he put all his eggs in one basket. And when that basket fell apart, he didn't know what to do. He was lost. So tr keeping your options open and looking at multiple things and having a plan A, B, and C. I had a sergeant major that used to say, "I have A, B, C, D, E, and F." And he that's just the way he was, and he thought about different scenarios and things like that, and it worked for him. But I would always encourage you to have multiple options and take a look at everything, so that if something doesn't go the way you were hoping, you have something to fall back on.
All right.
And I think that'll help everybody be successful.
Very good. Where can people find info on you? Go where?
VetSOSpodcast.com.
All right. That you're listening and watching.